Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of Role Model Experts Cafe. I'm your host, Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer. And today with me, I have an amazing lady, Miss Michelle DeKeyser. Did I say that right, Michelle? I just wanted to make
You
sure.
did. And thank you so much, Dr. L, for having me on.
Very cool. I'm very excited. I've had Michelle in our community, and I decided, you know what, it is really important for you guys to hear more about what she does and how she showed up. So, Michelle, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here, and thank you guys for tuning in. Can you please tell our audience members a little bit more about what you do and how you ended up doing what you do, and then go from there?
Well, how I ended up doing what I do is I was all of a sudden one day looking around as a mom, wondering, who am I? What do I like anymore? And I just all of a sudden was like, I had this feeling inside of me. I know I should be grateful for what I have, but there's something more. But I had no idea how to find it. It all started because my kids got a little bit older, where all of a sudden you start to have like 15-minute pockets. And you start to feel, I would find myself filling that time with either watching TV or binge watching or playing Candy Crush or something else. And I felt listless, like I could do more with this time. And as COVID came along, and all of a sudden on actually September 20th of 2020 was a day I decided, because I wanted to change, and let's say dramatic change, because that was a day we ended up homeschooling our kids that year, mostly because of the illnesses. My father had cancer at the time. My husband's brother had cancer. And so we didn't know what this all meant. We wanted to be safe. So we were going to homeschool. And the very same day, I started a program called 75 Hard for myself. Now, that's one of those programs where if you don't do one of the things set out for the day, including your personal development, your learning and your reading, you have to start back at day one. And I'd been one of those people that just like, okay, I'm gonna start this program and I'm gonna do this, but and then never finish. And you could see the look on my husband's face when I told him I was gonna do this. And he looks at me and goes, right. When's this gonna stop? But then the days started going and it kept going. But the program starts with the 75-day, but there's 3 phases throughout the year that can take you to a full year if you so choose. And I chose to go that route. And so phase 3 is the last 5 days before this year is over, I come to day 25. And for some reason, I must have been reading or something, I fall asleep. Ooh. I wake up at 2:30 in the morning. You know what the one thing I hadn't done for that day? I had not taken my picture. So you're supposed to keep pictures so you can track it. But things you do in phase 3 is like talk to a stranger, do a random act of kindness, take a 5-minute cold shower. All those things were done. But I had not taken the picture. I'd fallen asleep. So I take this picture at 2:30 in the morning. I'm like, it became this gray area. Did I fall asleep? Was it the end of the day? Did I finish? You know what? What I realized was that it was about the journey. That it was almost in hindsight, this was a good thing that happened to me because it made me see what I need to. And this is actually what inspired me more to work towards this, is inspiring other moms to do the same thing, that it's enjoying these stages that we're going through in this journey. But the one thing I realized was what helped me even go through the 75 Hard was finding different accountability partners and doing it together with other people. And so that's what led me to want to bring connecting mamas together and create that for moms, because we've lost something along the way. We've lost that will of knowing how to connect with others, how to do these things, but we crave it. But we don't know how to do it. So it's time to get back to those baby steps and to do that together and learn how to do that. And so that's what led me to do what I want to do.
That's
and
awesome.
Support moms.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's a lot of times what happens is, especially when you're at home or taking care of the little ones, you kind of get isolated, right? And you have so many hats, so you forget about yourself. So in the process, the next thing you know, you are in this land where you never intended to be there, and you don't recognize who you are, and you don't know how to do your way out neither. So that's really, really important. And also the fact that you can lose sight because you lose your bearings, you lose sight of where you are. And, when you have the GPS and it has that blue dot there that says where you are, it's nice. It's kind of reassuring to know that you're there. So, and then from there, you can make decisions. And if you lose those bearings, it's important for you to kind of get that back and understand, I'm here on the journey, and this is what I'm supposed to be having fun with at this part of the journey, and so on and so forth. So that's really cool.
I love that you said that, because it's about the bearings and finding your way back. But then the best part about what I want to do is bring the moms together so you have that built-in support. Because when you do fall off, you have someone to help you get back on that, because sometimes it's not that easy, or just even to acknowledge sometimes, okay, I'm in that moment where I have those thoughts, but if I say it out loud to someone else, then it moves me forward again. And we're all going to have our ups and downs, no matter what. We're human. It's going to happen, but do we get back on? That's always the question.
So you mentioned actually support, and that this part, I'm a neurology geek, so I'll share with you, like when we were trying to jumpstart a part of a kid's brain that had never fired before or was weak at firing, a lot of times by stimulating the area surrounding that part of the brain, that would transfer into the area that actually needed the stimulation. Then as a result, it would jump faster, or it would activate faster. So the reality is, if it was easy, then all the moms would be doing it and this wouldn't be an issue, right? And the fact that it's not is because of the fact that despite the fact that people might have the roadmap, despite the fact that people might have the knowledge, you still need the support, the accountability, so that kind of jumpstarts you and stimulates you into actually taking action. So yeah.
Well, especially for moms, we come into these habits of not doing things. So for instance, once you get the baby, you're like, oh, I got to take care of the baby. I'm not going to go out with this friend. And also those knots. Right. A couple of years later, I was like, okay, what just happened? Now I do have a little bit of time, but those friends might not be there. But then I don't even know how to reach out to others again. And so what I wanted to create was that community, and what I'm offering on purpose is through Zoom, because it's that baby step to get that comfort zone. Because we've been so disconnected from each other, we don't know how to do this. We need a little bit of a bridge, a baby step to get there. So we're going to work on these skills and communication and get comfortable with each other in this comfort space that we can then take to our in-person lives and be more comfortable, and having those new habits growing in us, as you were saying, like touching that part of the brain and growing these new habits slowly, rather than just jumping off the deep end and saying, okay, well, I need to go join these moms. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't do that. That's too much.
Right, exactly. Because you see what the end goal is, but you don't have to do all of that in one step. And like you said, that baby step is a lot easier to take. And once you take that baby step, the next one again is not that big, and you kind of move in the right direction. So that's a beautiful way of actually approaching it, and having the support, knowing that if I take this step, I'm landing in the right place or in a better place. That's really important. Very cool. So, by the way, in your experience, what are some of the consequences of not doing this? I know for a fact from my personal experience, now I'm not a mom, but at the same time, I was a primary caretaker for my kids when they were young. I realized that one day when they grow up, they have their own identity, they start pursuing their own dreams and missions in life. And then at that point, I don't want them to look at me as the person who sacrificed everything and gave it all. There's nothing wrong with that, but I want them to also know who I was, what I stood for, what I stood against, and have my own identity, at least for myself, if not for my kids, right? So that was a big motivator for getting up and kind of stepping out of my comfort zone of, which is very fulfilling, taking care of the kids and all the hats that you're supposed to wear at home, but being able to start reclaiming your life back as well. So what are some of the other consequences that you see, especially for women?
Well, I see two main ones, and you actually hit the first one, is that feeling of being the martyr, of always that feeling like I need to do this for someone else. I can't do anything for myself. But what you're not seeing as a mom is what that's impacting on your child. Because I think that's where this is escalating from, is daughters seeing this from their moms and perpetuating that for themselves in the future. So by being that martyr, you're perpetuating that your daughter is going to model that and see that, and then move forward with their life, feeling like that's in the back of their head, what they learn, what they're going to have to do, or learn how not to do it. Right. However, if you are modeling that fulfilled life as an adult, you're modeling what you want them to have as an adult. So they're seeing it in action. They're seeing what the possibilities are because you're living it. You're their model. And that's essentially what we want as parents is we want happy and healthy kids when they're to become happy and healthy adults. Well, we need to be those happy and healthy adults to model that for them. Exactly. Otherwise, we're going to perpetuate this over and over. So when they see the modeling, for instance, with my son, we used to just like butt heads all the time. He's so much like me. We have so much in personality. And I think it got to the point where I go to my husband, you deal with me. I put my hands up, you deal with him, right? Because I didn't know how to. But once I started going after my desires and going after the entrepreneurship and creating this, he was so impressed and wanted to help and was supportive of all this that it changed our relationship so dramatically, which is what I get back to is finding what we do in this group or what we do with Connecting Moms is that community to figure out what do we want, because then they're inspired and they want to help. And now he might want to do a podcast or a YouTube channel, who knows, but I'm there to then support him. And this is this genuine connection that it's something we both want to do versus things I thought I had to do that I didn't necessarily want to do with him. And now we're like working towards this and it's created a better relationship. So that's one, is just being able to model for your kids. Two, though, is if you were stuck in this martyrdom and doing everything for your kids and not scheduling time for yourself, well, at some point, they are going to be out of the house. Then what? So let's start this process slow, modeling for them. And then we have something for ourselves when they are gone, right, and in college and doing their thing, that we can still support them, but not feel like we've lost, like we're going to lose something and it is a process, but it's going to be such an easier transition because we're so full of our own lives. We're not holding ourselves to their lives. It's got to be a give and take to it. And so that's the two big things I say is let's not be the martyrs. Let's not model that. Let's get our kids in there doing it with us. Like, for instance, it was my kids' idea this weekend. They had 2 days off. We spent the weekend writing doing our words of the year because we were on vacation, so we hadn't really got to it. So we all have a word of the year. And we had a big argument in the middle of the day, but I ended up finding a TED Talk on the 365-day giving challenge. And so I ended up watching it with them after I'd watched it myself. And we decided that our family word would then now be giving. And so we would be trying to just intentionally, what can we give each day? And we talked about volunteering in the past and stuff. So this was just everything that we talked coming all together. Of course, at the end of the day, my husband wasn't part of this. He comes home and he's like, oh, one of these things, you start this again. And I see that, moms. I see that. However, I think almost because of that doubt from him coming in this morning, I'm like, kids, do you really want to do this? Okay, let's get the notebook out. You're part of helping me. It's not all on me. If we're going to do this, like if I forget one day, it's your job to help remind me. We're having this notebook. We're having this. We've set this up so that I don't have to be the only one in charge. And that's the things we're going to work on is that when we try to do everything with ourselves, it's not going to happen. So if I say this is my 365-day challenge, I'm going to be in charge of it. If I don't give them ownership as well, then it won't happen. And so that's the stuff that we need to work on together and come up with those ideas as moms, bring them to our families, but we're only going to do that with community and accountability and taking that time and scheduling it in. Because I'll tell you, I can read a self-help book. I get all the ideas, but do I take the actions if I don't have the accountability? I personally don't. And so if you're one like me, come join us so we can have that accountability together.
Absolutely. I love it. All right. So, you just described the mission statement of Role Model Maker because we talk about, like, when I surveyed the parents, they're like, I want my kids to lead happy, healthy, and full lives. These three things, right? And you actually just mentioned them: happy, healthy, and full. I'm like, great. What is their model that they can base that off of? If you're living a life of self-sacrifice and you come last, your kids are going to learn how to put themselves last and appease other people. Is that what you want them to have for their job or for their relationships? Right. Obviously not, right?
Is that what you want for your own life?
Exactly.
Really, when you ask that question, is that really what you want? Is that how you want to be as a person? And again, the biggest thing that we want is genuine connection. But we can only get that. Like I said, I'm having more genuine connection with my son because I'm going towards the things you attract, those types of situations with each other that you want to do together rather than things I feel like, oh, I need to take this here. I'm supposed to support him with this. No, let's do things together.
Right. Absolutely. All right, Michelle, we're talking about things you and I obviously are on the same page on this, and I hope our audience are too. But usually they're busy and everything. So I want them to kind of walk away with something after watching this, aside from the light bulb. What would be one actionable thing that you would recommend or say would be most important for them to do right after this so that they start taking that first little step in the right direction?
So in my program, I have a framework called check-in. Now, the first C stands for curiosity. And that is where we start, because somewhere along the lines, our 3-year-olds are asking 100 questions a day. And when we get to our age, we might be asking what's for dinner. Like, we don't have any curiosity anymore. So the curiosity I want parents, everyone listening, to go off with is, what is one thing that I enjoy doing? And then to spend 10 minutes to intentionally plan that the next day. So whether it's read a book, or whether it's draw with your kids, whether it's color in a coloring book, whether it's go outside nature, it's that intentional planning of figuring out what I enjoy more and being curious with it. And if you've lost that curiosity, the best thing is you've got people right in front of you to help you with it. Look through your kids' eyes. And it's just about the curiosity. You don't necessarily need, and we're talking about doing 10 minutes. So we just want to go towards more things that we enjoy and intentionally planning it and asking yourself that question through curiosity. If not, see what your kids are up to and go through their eyes and see how are they going about doing it. Use them as your models right now if you've lost it. They are your perfect role models right now for where they're at.
Right. Actually, they're so much more in touch with what interests them. So it's a lot easier to tap into that than our own
Use
feelings. Right.
If you've lost it, use what they have, because they'll inspire you. You see their smiles, you see their joy. Then figure out what brings your smiles, what brings your joy, and just keep asking yourself the one question: what do I enjoy doing? And try to plan 10 minutes to do that either that day or at least set you up for the next day.
Absolutely. And if I could speak on behalf of all the guys in the world here, usually the dads, the husbands, if I see that my family, my kids are enthusiastic about something, that in itself, I might have doubts about doing it, but that in itself motivates me more to hold the space, to provide the support for that enthusiasm and for that process to take place within the family. So it's a very indirect way of actually getting the guys engaged and involved in this too, when they see the happiness.
I agree completely, because one of the things we've tried to do a little bit of family adventure. So the one thing, we went to Florida recently, the one thing that I wanted to do was go parasailing, and our anniversaries during this time period. So my husband's like, oh, you and I can go. But for some reason, my gut just told me, no, I want to offer it to the kids. I want to do this as a family activity, to do something fun, something exciting that we have no idea. So it's looking for those opportunities where you can actually try something new together and see what it's like. And my youngest was so scared. And as soon as she got done, she's like, can we do it again? Can we do it again? And so I think it's just more about being open to new possibilities and asking. The more I ask myself that question, because it almost didn't happen, and I almost gave up, and I was fighting almost to get it. But I kept asking myself, what is the one thing I want to do? Would I be mad if I didn't do it in this vacation and I've been putting it off? Mm-hmm. And so when you ask yourself that stuff and you go for it, make it happen.
Right. I love that. It gives me so much clarity and purpose as far as the direction that want to step into. So thank you for that. Now, Michelle, I know that your community is amazing and you have awesome magic happening there. Tell us a little bit more about how people can find out more about you and follow you and go from there.
So the best way right now, just because I know you guys are all busy and stuff, is my website is connectingmamas.com. So CONNECTINGMAMA, and don't forget the SS.com. I just say that quickly because on there is a free gift for you to try the check-in process and see if you want to join us. It's got a video for each of the letters and a quick activity, just like one like I gave you today, just to get you started down the process. There's links to the YouTube channel I have. There's links to the Instagram channel that I have. All those links are just there. Plus, I also am I have a blog on there, which I'm actually currently working to relaunch it. So all of that stuff is right there and easy for you. So again, it's connectingmamas.com. And then you can get all the links. So as you're driving or busy, that's all you have to remember.
I love it. I love it. Michelle, thank you so much for what you do. I will be making sure audience members to put that information in the description box below. So be sure to check that. Make sure that you actually role model the behavior of connecting to support, connecting for help. It's amazing. We have a more connected world than ever before in human history, yet the individuals feel more and more isolated. So we need to model this behavior for our kids that, it's okay not to have all the answers, and it's okay to reach out for help and to seek expert advice and to seek connections. So make sure you connect with Michelle on that.
Can I add one thing about isolation?
Yeah.
With isolation, I want you guys to realize that for somewhere along the lines, our size chipped. I mean, we used to work in tribes, we used to live in groups, and all of a sudden our size told us that we have to live in our own little box, drive our own little cars, and have answers to everything.
Right.
Well, it's not true. We can reach out to each other and collaborate with each other because two minds are so much better than one. But we've done this for so long, and we see the stuff on social media telling us we should be doing this, that it's hard. That's why we need to take the baby steps that we were talking about and just reach out to start with one thing. And again, if it's curiosity, starting with curiosity, just take that first step. That's what we're talking about.
Absolutely. I love it. Michelle, thank you for what you do. I've always talked about how we can optimize and change human history and optimize it for the better within one generation. And truly, when you look at it, the moms basically are the first teachers of that next generation. They play a huge role as far as which direction our species takes, basically. So
Yes.
Thank you for guiding that and being a support for that. Any final words for our audience members before we finish today?
Again, it's just about the baby steps. So it's picking one thing. So for instance, like I think that's part of my thing with consistency as well. So with my family, like as I said yesterday, we did our words of the year, and we're going to focus just on that giving. So that's our one focus and see where that takes us. I think sometimes when we try to do too much at once, it's just too much. So if you're struggling with connecting, it's not necessary that you need to go jump into a new group or anything. Start with the baby step of next time you're in line and someone says hi to you or gives you your coffee at the bar, ask them one more question or give them a compliment. Or you're in the grocery store, someone asks you for some information or something. Ask one more question. These are just learned behaviors that we're trying to get more comfortable with. So once we're comfortable with them, you don't know where that connection will take you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. So guys, if you haven't already done so, make sure you click subscribe on the channel so you get notifications on all the experts, gifts, and the messages that they bring for you on this channel. Make sure you go to connectingmamas.com, receive your gift from Michelle, and connect with her and her amazing community as well. And we look forward to having you guys on future episodes and tuning in as well. Michelle, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule for being here. And we look forward to further collaborations in the future and seeing you on our events. Cheers.
Thanks so much for having me. And bye, everyone. It's such a pleasure.